Philadelphia, get ready to be inspired. If you need help finding the light in the darkness, don't touch that dial. Let's navigate life through the lens of hope with Scotty P. Inspirational speaker Scotty P speaks the importance of mental health in society and encourages techniques to overcome the everyday mental health obstacles that hold us back in life. It's not just inspiration, it's Scotty P inspiration.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Scotty P Inspiration Show here with your host, Scott Prendergast, aka Scotty P. Thank you all for being here and joining me today on this Good Friday. I'm so excited for you all to be here, excited to get another week of content out here and about for you. And I hope that you can take this content, apply it to your life so that you can learn to navigate life through the lens of hope, because that's what we're all about here at the Scotty P Inspiration Show. That's my overall goal. That's the tagline of this business. That's why we do this. So thank you all for being here. And again, like I said, it is Good Friday. It's a big day for me being a Christian and Christians all over. I'm super thankful for what happened on this Good Friday over 2,000 years ago. And so, like I said, I'm really thankful to be able to do this episode today because of what happened over 2,000 years ago. So thank you so much, Lord, for that. So we're going to dive right into it because that's what we do here on the show. Again, we're going to just make this a little bit, maybe 20, 25 minutes, because I know that you got a lot of stuff going on in your life and you don't have time to listen to a 10-hour podcast. So I want you to really be able to just take little nuggets from this and run. So without further ado, we're going to jump into it. And I want to start with a quote that I heard recently, actually, when I was at a concert. It was an Elevation Worship concert, and Pastor Stephen Furtick was there. And Pastor Stephen Furtick gave a message, and the message was really centered around this. And I believe it's in his new book coming out, or is out. And the message was, I'm not stuck unless I stop. I'm going to say that again. I'm not stuck unless I stop. And again, this was from Pastor Stephen Furtick who said this. And I'm starting off the show here with that quote because I think it's really going to set the foundation for what I want to talk about today. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that and really think about it. I'm not stuck unless I stop. Now, I don't know about you, but in life, when I'm trying to reach for something or go for some type of goal or desire that I have, a lot of times I feel stuck, right? Because I might feel like I'm not making enough progress. I'm not where I should be. Other people are further along. How come things aren't turning out the way that I thought? I feel stuck a lot of times. And I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling of being stuck or believing that we're stuck. But this quote suggests something different. And it says, no, you're never stuck unless you stop. So it's when you stop is when you get stuck in that mud, so to speak. But as long as you're still moving forward, you are not stuck. And I like that because I'm all about, and this business that I have here is all about changing the lens in which you look at life through. And when we're going through some type of struggle or trying to achieve something or go for some type of goal, like get a new job, get a promotion, whatever it is, that stuck feeling comes to us so often when we don't see exactly what we want happen in the time that we want. But understanding that every single day we're moving forward, every single day we're one step closer to it, every single day we're making progress rather than being stuck, I think for me, that changes a lot on how I look at it. And I think that can help a lot of us to look at our situation differently. And instead of getting to a point where we just feel like we're not making any progress and giving up and stopping, we can look at it and say, no, I have come far. I'm not stuck because I haven't yet stopped. And I just think that's a really encouraging word. And I heard that at the concert and I loved it. And I wanted to share that with you all to open up this podcast today. So again, I'm not stuck unless I stop. Remember that. And that was Pastor Stephen Furtick who said that. Now, as we're going a little bit deeper here, one of the things that I was thinking about too, in addition to that, when I heard that quote, was something that I've said in one of my keynote speeches before was, I'm not broken, I'm building. Now, I'm not broken, I'm building. And this really goes kind of hand in hand with the quote I just shared. But when I think of this, I think of, oh my goodness, I think a lot of times we identify ourselves by the traumas that we've been through. We go to people, we introduce ourselves, and before we say anything about ourselves, we say, well, I've been through this, I am this. And it's this list of traumas and negative things and difficulties that we've gone through. And that's really important to be open and honest about that stuff. Absolutely. I'm a mental health advocate. I'm first in line for that. But I think it's important for us too to understand that what we went through does not have to define us. What we went through is part of us, but it is not all of us. And I've said this on the show multiple times. So I think it's really important for all of us to be able to take a look at our lives and say, yes, there are different pieces of things that have happened that might be jagged and sharp edged, but we are not broken. We're in the process of building towards becoming a better person, building towards that business, building towards the person we want to be, building towards whatever it is that we're trying to achieve in this life. And when we look at it that way, we see what happened to us as just another building block rather than a block that got chipped off the side and then fell and cracked into a million pieces, right? And again, all comes down to perspective. And I know so many of the struggles that we face in this life come from the fact that we're viewing things with a perspective of just, I don't even know what the word is to describe it. We're viewing the struggles that we face as permanent, I think is the way to describe it. And we're viewing the difficulties that we go through as all of who we are when it is not. It's, like I said a million times, part, but not all of who you are. So when I say I'm not broken, I'm building, that's a mantra that I'll tell myself all throughout my life, all throughout my day. And people that I work with when I'm doing my coaching or speaking, I'm telling them the same thing. Like, okay, yeah, we want to acknowledge what you've gone through. We want to acknowledge that maybe right now in your life, things are really difficult. Maybe right now in your life, you're in a really low place. Maybe right now, nothing seems to be going right for you. We want to acknowledge that first. And when you allow yourself to feel that, absolutely, it begins with that. But then after you've acknowledged it and after you felt it, it's time to make a decision. And that decision is to say, no, I am not broken. No, I am not stuck. No, I am not going to just fall apart right here. I'm in the process of building. And for anyone who's ever built anything, whether it's a house or whether it's, I don't know, a little clay pot, pinch pot in fourth grade art class, anyone who's built something knows that it's not always easy and it's not always fun. There are parts of it where it gets difficult, where it's hard, where you want to quit, but you don't, because you know that this is all part of the process to get to that final product when you're building something. So in the same way in our lives, when we're building towards something too, it's inevitable that these difficulties and just hiccups and setbacks are going to come into our lives. That's a given. I can 100% guarantee that. That's 100% guaranteed that you're going to face that. But then you have that choice on how you're going to choose to view those struggles. To say, oh, I'm broken, I guess that's it. Or I'm building. And I know for me, this is something that's taken me years to kind of adopt this mentality. For years, I was first in line to always be like, oh, I'm doing good. And then a struggle hit. Oh, I guess I'm broken. Oh, I'm stuck. Oh, I'm done. I can't do it. And I just got sick and tired of thinking that way. I got sick and tired of making progress only to see everything fall apart because of a circumstance or situation that was not ideal. And I got tired of looking at that. And I said, okay, well, what can I control here? I can't control when difficult things are going to happen. I can't always control when bad things and unforeseen things are going to happen. No, that's out of my hands. But what I can control is how I choose to react to these circumstances and situations. And I've said this so many times on my show. It's one of the things that's probably going to be like next to my name in the dictionary, right? How we react to these circumstances and situations is totally up to us. And I find that comforting, though. You know why I find that comforting? Because in this world, we have very little control. We can't control the weather. We can't control what people are doing out on the road when they flip us off. You know, we can't control the annoying person across the street. We can't control, this or that. And there's so many things that are out of control for us. And it can be a bit overwhelming and daunting, right? But what I find comfort in is knowing that although these things I can't control, what is 100% within my control is how I choose to react to these different things that happen. I can control that. And like I said, that's comforting for me, knowing that in this world where I have almost no control sometimes, every time I have control on how I'm going to react. And if I choose to react or choose to respond. And I know I've had an episode about this before, talking about choosing responsiveness over reactiveness, but that's not for today. We could talk about that another time. But I want you, the listener, to take hold of that too. And I think that can really make a difference for you as well. If you just feel overwhelmed with how life is so out of your hands at times, take heart in knowing that, look, yes, these things are out of control. I can't always control this or that. But when it comes to how I'm going to view the problems, how I'm going to view the uncontrollable aspects of life, how I'm going to view that, that's totally within my hands every single time. I think you'll find comfort in that. Really will, and it'll make things a little less daunting for you. I know that certainly has for me over the years. So, as we're moving forward a little bit more here, I'm trying to think about moving, to the next level of where I want to take this episode real quick here. I'm just kind of going for it and seeing what we got, because I figure some of the best hidden gems come out when you just kind of rift. And sometimes when I give myself a script, I feel boxed in, and I don't want to feel boxed in today, so I'm gonna go for it. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. But what we're talking about is changing our mindset, changing how we view these struggles, changing how we choose to respond and react to different things. And all of that is really, really important. But I think what's really important too is to get yourself going on the inside first, to get yourself figured out on the inside first. Because if we don't know what's important to us on the inside, if we don't know what it is that we truly want out of this life, if we don't know what it is that we're searching for, it's going to make anything else on the outside and anything else that I'm trying to say almost really impossible and seem out of reach. And what I mean by getting things right on the inside first is really searching your own heart to say, okay, what is at the core of everything that I'm doing? What is the center point of every action, every decision that I'm making in my life? What's at the core of that? And just kind of diagnosing that and say, all right, well, and be honest with yourself. Maybe say, okay, well, my core right now is to be liked by everybody. That's impacting everything I do. Or maybe at your core right now is to make a lot of money. That's what I want everything to be. Or maybe your core is to impress certain people. Or maybe your core of everything you do right now is to come across a certain way. And look, that's fine. But what I will say is this: all those different things that I just listed, when they're at your core, they're subject to circumstances. They're subject to other people and other people's desires, other people's view of you. And that's something that's very, 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 very shaky ground to try to stand on. So when you ask yourself and you're looking at yourself and saying what's at your core, once you've identified what it is, the next step I really want you to kind of do is this. I want you to say, okay, well, what can I make my core that is going to be something that comes from validation from me? What can I make my core that's not going to be so circumstantially based? What can I make my core that's not going to depend on my boss giving me a new job for me to be happy, or whatever it might be? And really search your own heart for that. And I don't have the answer for you. I know what my core is, and that's my faith. That's for me personally, but it's for you to have to figure out. You have to search your heart to figure out what's at your core and what you want it to be. But I see so many people that I work with where they get to a certain point of their life where they've been a core of trying to please everybody, or their core of trying to be a certain way. And then inevitably people just kick them to the curb because of that. And all the work that they had done to try to please these people, and all the work that they had done to try to prove they're this or that, crumbles in a matter of just like a couple of days sometimes, and they feel completely lost and have nothing to stand on. And it's at that moment that I remind them, I say, okay, look, what's been at the core of everything you're doing for so long has been based on other people's approvals and other people's opinions. Now we've got to change that. And we've got to work on gaining our own approval, our own opinion first. And I talked about this a little bit last week, because in my book, I have a whole chapter about this. And I talk about that with every single person that I do any kind of work or speaking engagement with, because it is so important to get that inside of you, that core validation, that self-validation in here, so that way you're not searching for it out there in, the fragility, if you will, of everybody else and their own perceptions of you. So long story short, take some time today, maybe write it down, maybe ask yourself, maybe just talk out loud. I don't know what it is, whatever you want to do, but take some time today to ask yourself, what's at the core of everything that I'm doing in my life right now? And just ask yourself that and work on trying to find that answer one step at a time. Then after that answer, if it's an answer that you don't like, we can work on changing it. Ask yourself, okay, well, how am I going to find that validation on the inside? What's that process going to look like for me to know that I'm already validated, that I'm already enough, and that I don't need all these things from other people to prove anything? Right? And again, I've talked about this on other episodes before, and so I'm not going to dive too deep into that right now, but I want you all to really just think about that and do that process a little bit today if you have the time. And I think it'll really be something that's important for you and really going to be good for you too. Now, as we go a little bit deeper here, we still got a few minutes left on the episode. As I'm reflecting on some of the stuff that I've just said here today, it's been a bit of a review of a lot of the different work that I do with people, as I've mentioned multiple times in this episode. And one of the things that I have found myself working with people a lot more on too and a lot more people asking about this and a lot more people trying to, get the ideas down is about the story that they tell themselves. And when I say the story that you tell yourselves, I don't mean, oh, I tell myself a story that I'm the greatest ever. And no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the negative story that you tell yourself. That negative story that you tell yourself every single day. That story that you tell yourself when you say, I'll never be enough for anyone else because of this happened, that happened, and this happened. That negative story that you tell yourself that says, I'm nothing more than just a this, and this. That negative story that you tell yourself that comes from a negative core belief. And I've been working with a lot of people on how to work through that. And it's a process because when we develop negative core beliefs, look, this isn't something that happens just overnight. And this is something over years of negative self-talk that we ruminate on day after day after day to the point where we truly believe it when it starts to turn into that negative core belief, right? So naturally, to undo that negative core belief is going to take a lot of work and effort as well. But fear not, it can be done. And we could do a whole episode about that another time, but to give you just an overall general idea of the first step to being able to change the negative story that you tell yourself, it's so simple. You know what it begins with? The first step, at least, is simple. The whole process takes time, but the first step is this. Ready? Changing the way that you view your current struggles. That's the first step. Because how you view your struggles is going to lead to different thoughts that you have about yourself. And those thoughts that you have about yourself are going to lead to feelings that you have about yourself. And feelings that you have about yourself are going to lead to actions and behaviors based off of those feelings. And those actions and behaviors are going to lead to, guess what? More thoughts. Okay? And what we want to do is change it at that thought level, though. Changing how we view that struggle. And I think a lot of people relate to this too, because struggle is something that all of us deal with just every single day, especially in today's day and age. It just seems like things are, you can't go 2 seconds without some type of struggle. And what we don't do is we don't put our struggle or someone else's struggle on a scale and weigh it. No, we don't do that because that's going to do absolutely nothing for us or anybody else. What we're going to do is we're going to look at our struggle right now, see how it's impacting us, and we're going to say, okay, how can I change this? How can I change how I'm viewing this? Just like back what we said at the beginning, I'm not stuck unless I stop. I'm not broken, I'm building. How am I going to view this struggle? Am I going to view it as the end all be all? Am I going to view it as I'm done? I'm nothing. I'm succumbing to this. I can't hack it in life. I can't do it. I can't get past this. I'm broken forever. You're going to view the struggle like that? Or you're going to pause for a second, stop yourself before you go down that rabbit hole. And you're going to say, wait a minute. Let me search for something good that could come from this struggle or that it's being done in me because of this struggle. And that is one of the most difficult things to do, especially when you're in a dark place or a low place and you've been struggling for a while. Trying to pull yourself up takes every ounce of energy in you to just say, okay, I can take something good from today. How can I view today differently? When you're really struggling, that is one of the hardest things in the world to do because it's so comfortable to just stay stuck in that mindset of this is terrible. I hate this. This isn't fair. I can't do this. It's so easy to stay in that mindset. And this world loves that. This world lives for that. Everybody look around. People are so miserable. They love to see you miserable too. And so it's a trap and it's so hard to get out of it. It's like being stuck in quicksand sometimes. But here's the thing. There is an opportunity for you to grab a sturdy branch, so to speak, to get out of that quicksand. And if you want to know what the tree is that's holding that branch, I could tell you about that another time. But we'll talk about the branch just for now. That branch is making the decision to first grab onto that branch. And that branch represents looking at the situation differently, looking at that struggle differently. And I know you might say, Scott, I've been dealing with this thing for 10 years. I don't know how to look at it any differently. And I get that. And that's why I understand how difficult it is for you to do this, because you're just in that pattern thinking of, oh, I can't get past this. I'm done. I'm miserable. And the world shows you that too. So you're just like, So understand that this is one of the most difficult things in the world to do. But at the same time, understand that when you start to consistently, a few days, a few weeks in a row, make the decision to look for something good in the middle of that struggle, you're going to start to see a little bit of a difference in your mindset, a little bit of a difference in how you feel, a little bit of a difference in how you're looking at different aspects of your life. And it's little by little, brick by brick. But I could tell you, if you keep doing it forward, if you keep going with it, keep grabbing onto that branch, keep continuing to make the decision every day, not to fall into the familiar trap of this struggle, but to make the bold choice to look at it differently and find something good in it, you're going to make progress. It might not get rid of the struggle, but it'll change you. And changing you will give you new opportunities that you didn't previously have to then maybe get out of that struggle, whatever it is. I can't answer that for you. I don't know. I don't know what your struggle is. I don't know for sure. I'm not a fortune teller. Okay. But what I do know is that by changing that viewpoint and committing to it every day, it'll change you, even if it doesn't change anything else in your circumstance. But by changing you, like I said, can lead to you taking out a new step or trying something different or reaching out to a new person or making a career change. And those things can get you past and out of that struggle into a new point in your life. And who wouldn't want that, right? And you can have that. But the first step, when you're struggling in that quicksand of that struggle, is grab that branch. Grab that branch that represents a new way to view the same old pain and struggle. And I hope that's something that you can really hold on to today. And I hope that's something that can encourage you, because that's what this show's all about. It really is. And again, everything that I ever talk about on this show, you know what there's a hefty dose that's required. Excuse me. A hefty dose of resiliency and a hefty dose of time. This is not something where you say, okay, well, 2 days out of the week, every third month of the year, I'm going to try to view my struggle differently. Well, you're not going to make any progress. I'm just being honest with you. This is a commitment that you have to do every day. And you have to be resilient and continue to fight back against the urge to fall back into that dark place. Refuse to take the bait. And instead, even when you have no reason to see anything good, you continue to make the choice to change your mindset by focusing on something that's going to pull you through that. But it takes time and it takes resiliency. But you add that time, add that resiliency to that new mindset, to that choice that you're making. Pour all that in a pot, stir it around real good, put it on for 350 in the oven. It's going to make something great, as long as you're willing to keep adding those ingredients. So everybody, I'm just checking my time here. I think we're about 20 minutes or 25 minutes. Okay, so I think we're pretty much at the end, because I like to keep this short and sweet so you can take it and run with it. I want to thank you all so much, and I want to end with this. We started the story with a quote from Stephen Furtick that said, "I'm not stuck unless I stop," and so we'll end on the same way. You're not stuck unless you stop. So today, look around you, look at the little progress that's been made, look at the little areas in your life that maybe you don't always look at that could give you a reason to smile, look at something else and change your focus from obsessing over that struggle to viewing all the different aspects of your life that are there too, and how something good can come from that. You're not stuck unless you stop. You're not broken, you are building. Take heart with that, everybody. Thank you all so much. I will see you again next week. Thanks for tuning in for another quick episode of the Scotty P Inspiration Show, where we're helping others to navigate life through the lens of hope. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great one. I will see you soon. This is Scotty P, signing off.